The message that I want to bring to each one of us this morning is, how much are we taking heed to this command given by this great prophet? Are we speaking out to tell others that our God is coming? How busy are we in proclaiming the message that the commission stands today? How important it is for us as God's chosen people, trying to take out the command that has been given to each one of us. This church has been preaching this message for 165 years or so. And many people, when we tell them, I have been ridiculed. Your church has been preaching this for years. Where is the promise of his coming? Where is the promise of his coming? I have been challenged by people whom I have spoken to. The book of Hebrews says, he that will come, he will not tarry. He that will come, and he will not tarry. When Christ was here on this earth, before the time of his crucifixion, he called his disciples aside in private. And the disciples asked him, when is it that you're going to come back? And from the 24th chapter of the book of Matthew, we see till the 25th the signs of his coming. And we all know those kind of signs. We have been trained in the church. We have read this several times. We have heard sermons. And yet sometimes we wonder, where is the promise of his coming? We talk about wars. This country has been in wars for years. Vietnam, Kuwait, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq. It goes on. When we go back home to India, there's always war between India and Pakistan. People are at war. Last November, I was in Bombay. The day I left, the next day, Taj Mahal Hotel was bombed. We were in Pune last 2 weeks ago. We had never seen security so tight in Pune. The airports had barricades and barricades. I had to leave my wife to the airport. They wouldn't allow me beyond a certain point. There was police and military coverage all around the airport. I came back to the hotel and asked them, what is this kind of security there? And they said, Pune has been threatened for another attack. We left Pune. After we left, there was another bomb attack in Pune. People at war. Are these the signs of the Lord's coming? Famines. If you want to see famine, you go to Africa. You will see people whose skin has gone into their bones. No food. No sign of food. You walk through miles to those deserts, you will not see food. We go to hotels sometimes and out of some food, the chef comes and tells, sorry sir, we don't have this on the menu now because the ingredients are not available. But in this part of the world, people are dying of overeating, where there is famine in some parts. Christ warned us that these are going to be the signs of his coming. The love of many will wax cold. People today have no time for your fellow men. We are busy doing our business. We are busy trying to meet our ends meet. We are busy trying to put in a retirement fund. We are busy trying to do whatever we want to do. You call a company, they have no people to answer the phones. It goes on automation. You go to the airport, we have to check our own bags these days. There are not many airlines that offer you friendly service. It's all become self-service. The world is changing. It's difficult. People who are in the lower rank of earning capacity find it much more difficult to live because their needs cannot be met. You go for some help, there is no help available. Are these the situations and the symptoms that Christ had foretold to us? The prophet Daniel said, men shall run to and fro, knowledge shall be increased. It's so clear today. There were times when we used to find a letter box and we used to go and mail our letters or bills. Today you sit in your home and over the internet with your mouse, you click and pay your bills. I was in Siliguri some time ago. I paid my bills in a hotel there in Siliguri. Can you ever imagine a small city like Siliguri having internet facilities with hotels that are equipped like a 5-star hotel? Knowledge has increased. Men just run to and fro. Earthquakes. What do we know? What are these earthquakes telling us? Just a few days ago, there was a report from our hospital and our church in Haiti, which just experienced a devastating earthquake. I went up to the internet to find out 10 major earthquakes that shook this world. And it so happens that this earthquake on January 12 is one of those listed in those 10. You know, we cover our properties with earthquakes because the church needs support when they are devastated and destroyed. And some of my colleagues went down to see the destruction that happened in our institutions in Haiti, and they came back with a report. By the time they came back, the United States Geological Survey had added the Haiti earthquake into those 10 disastrous earthquakes where more than 100,000 lives have been lost. And I want to bring you a report. 1556, the first earthquake in Shaanxi, China, killed 830,000 people. I'm giving this to you just for you to refer the climax of these and the frequencies. From 1556 to 1755, there was no earthquake. 1755, the Lisbon earthquake, which is one of the benchmarks of our Adventist history. The Lisbon earthquake in Portugal killed 100,000 people in 1755. Almost 200 years, there was no earthquake. From 1755, in 1730, there was another earthquake in Japan, which killed 130,000 people. From 1730, nothing happened for almost 200 years. 1905, the earthquake in Italy killed 100,000 people. Then, from 1905 to 1923, another earthquake in Japan killed 142,000 people.